Welcome to this edition of Mainline Connect. My name is Jennifer Lynn Robinson, and my guest today is Dan Lievens, Managing Partner of Headroom. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about what Headroom is.
So Headroom on the surface is a co-working facility. So we cater to small businesses, startups, consultants. We started about a little over a year ago in media with 3,000 square feet. And we have about 50 companies operating out of our media space. And we just opened Wayne, which again is about 3,000 square feet. And we're expecting to be able to house about 70 to 80 companies.
Wow.
So co-working, basically, we share the cost of being in a professional environment, basically. And we have resources such as phone answering. People can get their mail sent there. And beyond the space, it really is about how do we elevate each other as a group. There's a lot of collaboration. I think the record now is we call them residents, 4 residents working on the same customer as a result of being in that ecosystem. So from the outside in, it's almost looked upon as a business resource center. We have people varying from massage therapists to SEO experts to startups and everything in between, including larger companies like Brinker Simpson, they're an accounting firm, who use our space.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we like to start off our shows talking about some networking tips that people might find useful. And the topic I had discussed with you ahead of time was elevator pitches, or your 30-second pitch. So, I'm curious, people have different schools of thoughts on this. Some people have one elevator pitch and kind of stick with it, no matter what the circumstance or the event, and other people feel it's important to change it up, depending on your audience and things like that. What's your view on the elevator pitches?
I should probably spend a little bit more time working on my 30-second elevator pitch. I never say the same thing twice.
Okay.
Because, for us, we do something slightly different. It's not something that everybody's aware of, like a car or a sliced bread or something. So to me, I try and explain, why we do what we do, as opposed to what it is that we're doing. So it varies. It varies from day to day. It varies on the group that I'm with.
Okay.
And I switch it up all the time. And it's not always perfect.
Right. Right. Well, I think that's, I think my point of view, and again, I know other people have other schools of thoughts on this. I don't think it's a good idea to give the same pitch all the time. I think it is a good idea to vary it depending on your audience. And particularly, there's some of us that are in groups like, where they meet weekly. I don't know if I should name any particular groups, but, we all know of those groups that are more of a commitment where you meet weekly and you're expected to give referrals and things like that. There's several of them in the area. And especially in a situation like that where you're seeing the same people every week and you want them to think of you differently as far as how they can refer you out, I think it's a great idea to change it up.
Right. It's all about being able to build that connection with somebody.
Yeah.
And by saying the same thing over and over again really doesn't do you any good, I don't think. And depending on who you're talking to and what time of day and where you are, there might be different things going on that you want to incorporate into your story. And it really is about telling a story, I think.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. And the other big mistake I think I see people make is they talk in too much industry jargon for their elevator pitches. A lot of people that are in more kind of technical industries might get up and say things that aren't sort of in, let's say, layperson's terms, or they might use acronyms that are common to their industry, but people in the room don't know anything about what those are. So I think that's also kind of a way you can do yourself a disservice with your elevator pitch. You really want to make it something that everybody could understand, even if they don't understand. If you're not an engineer, you still want them to understand what you do, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially in today's technology world, there's so many acronyms that people throw out there. I have a technology background, I understand them, but a lot of people don't, and it can be very intimidating,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think also when you're networking, if it is something that you don't understand, people usually won't say anything. I don't really say anything a lot of the time. If somebody says to me, this is what I do, and I don't know the acronym or I don't understand what they said, you're just kind of like, that's great, and that's also a disservice because, you're not asking the follow-up questions, you're not asking what projects they're working on. You're probably going to leave there not with a sense of how to refer them out because you didn't really get a sense of what it is they do. So all of that, I think, can play into it and, hinder your networking if you don't have the right kind of pitch for your business.
And that goes back to switching up your 30-second elevator pitch. If you're talking to somebody that is technology-based, then absolutely throw out the acronyms and use the lingo that they're familiar with and make you sound like an expert. But for somebody that's not, you got to switch it up. You got to be able to connect at their level and teach them about what you can do for them. So absolutely.
And a lot of what you said is about problem solving, which I really like because I think, you know, when you are giving an elevator pitch or you're getting to know people at a networking event, it's really important to talk about how you can help them solve a problem in their business, listen to what their pain points are, and then have a response that will, you know, assist them with that, whether it's your own business or maybe a referral for them. So a lot of what you said, I think, really centered on that, which I think is a really good focus to have.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what we do, is,
Yeah.
you know, we help people solve problems.
Yes.
We make their lives easier. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I know you said you started out about a year and a half ago with Headroom. You know, I looked at your LinkedIn profile a little. I saw some of the things that you were involved in before. What was it about a year and a half ago that made you think, you know what, now's the time. I think we're going to open this co-working space?
That's a good question. So I ran what I call the Ideas Accelerator for about 6 years. It's
Okay.
kind of like an incubator / accelerator, assisting people with ideas. So as early stage as you know, an idea in your head.
Okay.
You know, is it a viable idea? What is it going to take to go to market?
Yeah.
And we help you create a roadmap. 9 times out of 10, you know, probably wasn't a good idea. And we let you know that up front. So people have saved a lot of money by us doing some market analysis for them and whatnot.
Okay.
And for the people that did have good ideas, it became a business of basically referrals, saying, you know, you need a website, you need this, you need that, well, you need to talk to so-and-so, and, you know, you need to talk to so-and-so for that. And, you know, I kind of started losing the passion of really helping people with their passion. And so I decided to say, you know, let's scrap all this. Let's get a space, share the cost of being there, and everybody have at it. And that was the foundation of what Headroom is today. As I mentioned, there's 50 companies in media, and people walk in, they have a sense of belonging, and they have a sense of accomplishment already, because everybody's doing something there.
Right.
And it's working. People are working with each other, and ideas are being created. Companies have been created as a result of just people sharing a space together. So that's the foundation of Headroom.
And that must be really neat to watch, too.
It is. It's
Yeah.
you know, at first it was a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
You know, when we had a few residents in there, nothing was really going on.
Right.
But now you can walk in any day of the week, and you can really just feel that energy, and it's great. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, I know your wife from networking groups, Erin, and she is one of your managing partners, and obviously that's your spouse. So I'm curious how that you know, have you guys always worked together before this, or how has it been working with her getting this business off the ground?
I've been working with Erin for probably almost 10 years.
Okay.
And in different capacities. We had another company together. I remember when we first started, it was kind of tough. You know, we were trying to make very strict, you know, rules eventually. Well, we can't talk about work after a certain time, whatever. But now it's so second nature. Like I would know what to do if we had different jobs at this point. You know, we're so kind of interwoven with what we do. And, you know, we have that kind of a balance. And it wasn't easy at first.
Right.
But now I just can't even imagine not working with her. Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun.
So do you still, I'm curious, do you still have, you know, I know you have kids.
Yeah.
Do you still have the boundaries, like when you go home and you maybe have dinner as a family? Is it, we don't talk about work at dinner, or it doesn't really matter?
We don't typically talk, like, especially with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, we really try and separate some time with the kids. But when her and I are hanging out, you know, we're passionate about what we do.
Sure.
You know, we love what we do, and we do talk about work. And I don't think that there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, it's still within, it's not a burden. You know, we enjoy it, and it really is our passion. It's almost like having a third child in a way. Of course you're going to talk about it. Of course you're going to live and breathe it.
Right.
But we do try and make sure that we have time allotted for the kids and things aside from Headroom.
Yeah. I don't have kids, but my husband and I are both lawyers, and as you know, I stopped practicing. But I always vowed growing up that I wouldn't marry another lawyer, and of course I married another lawyer. And, you know, then sitting at the table, you know, I was in front of this judge, you know how bad he is, you know,
Right.
and it was hard to move away from that type of discussion. So I have to say I didn't really enjoy being in the same field. But now that I'm an entrepreneur and he's still in the corporate world, it's almost equally as bad, because I'm kind of like you and Erin. I never stop. My brain's always
Right.
moving. How can I grow the business? What should I do with this? And I have this idea. And sometimes he's just like, shut up, just sit and watch a TV show. And I think it's hard as an entrepreneur to kind of turn that off, you know?
It is. It's very, very hard to turn it off. And, you know, I've just kind of learned to embrace it.
Yeah.
You know, how do I include my own passions in the business? And that's kind of what Headroom is. To where I don't feel like it's a burden to think about it. And
Right.
when Erin and I do talk about it after hours, we're not talking about, you know, accounting problems or specific issues with customers or whatever. We talk about higher level, more of the dreams and aspirations, and how can we make the whole experience of being a resident in Headroom better, those types
Right.
of things, which is fun,
Right.
And we come up with lots of great ideas.
I'm sure.
Especially when we're outside, shooting darts. That's the time we come up with the best ideas. But yeah, it's been a good ride.
And you also have another managing partner, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. John Torr.
Yeah.
We brought him on a little over a year ago. He's been amazing. He's more of a corporate background. He used to be CEO of a company with 3,000 employees worldwide. And me, I've always been in the startup world, so it's been an amazing combination of what he was bringing to the table, and primarily more into higher level strategic planning and whatnot.
Okay.
So him and I put our heads together over the last year and developed different types of workshops and different types of training things to assist small businesses with their growth and keeping an eye on the future and whatnot. And I have to say, I've had plenty of business partners. Most of them didn't work out so well.
Okay.
But John's been tremendous to work with, and we're so thankful for him.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, you guys have grown a lot in a short time. I mean, you've gotten a lot of amazing coverage, locally and press-wise, and now you're expanding. The Wayne space is open or opening?
Yes, the Wayne space is officially open.
Okay,
yes.
and then you're also opening a space in Conshohocken, is that right?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a 100% done deal yet. I mean,
Okay.
it's pretty much going to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
We're excited about that, and that should be in January.
Do you also have a space in Jenkintown, or am I just imagining that?
No,
okay.
we looked at Jenkintown for a while.
Okay.
There was a building that we fell in love with, but it was just going to take way too much effort on both the landlord's part and our part to make it a good destination place for co-working.
Okay.
So we decided to just pull the plug for now.
Okay. Are you looking at expanding other locations? Or?
No, I think 3's enough for now.
Right, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is. We really want to know that we can run 3 very well. So until we're about 75–80% capacity, I think at that point we'll sit down and kind of evaluate, do we want to take this, how far do we want to take it? Because
Yeah.
we do have a consulting side of the business, and we really enjoy that. That's the road mapping and strategy planning for companies. So there's always a temptation of just doing that as opposed to the space.
The space itself.
But the space has been a lot of fun. So yeah, we're gonna run 3 and make sure we can do that well before we look at any further expansions.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, there's other co-working spaces around the city and the suburbs. What do you think sets you guys apart?
I think the biggest thing that sets us apart is how we started and why we started. We really started as a form of creating an environment where people can thrive. So there's a little bit of that incubator energy, even though we're not an incubator, that people feel like it's a safe environment for you to be able to grow your business. So not only for the space, it's a professional space, much better media, Starbucks or Panera, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But we have professional offices, also larger training rooms and whatnot to grow your business. And we also provide a lot of events for collaboration. We have resident-only events where we kind of sit down and talk about our challenges. We talk about what our ideal customers are, and we really do help each other grow.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in the last year. I think Headroom has been indirectly responsible for about 16 to 18 jobs in the last year. It's not a lot, but in the startup world, it's good. These people are doing well.
Especially in light of how recently you're in business. I mean, when
Right.
you think about everything you've accomplished, that has to make you feel good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we're excited about, really seeing other people grow.
Yeah. So, I think it's more your wife's baby, but would you like to talk at all about the nonprofit that you guys are involved in?
Sure, that's really all her.
Yeah.
So she came home one day and she said, as growing up, being involved in the community and a nonprofit space was such an integral part to her upbringing. And it's hard for parents today to say, well, okay, this weekend we're going to go to the food bank.
Right.
And next weekend we're going to go, pick up trash, or the following weekend we'll do something else. So what she decided to do is start Kids for the Community, and essentially it is, again, a safe environment where parents can bring their kids and do community service in a safe environment. So she's had a few events where they show up in a big room, and it'll be different stations, like the SPCA. They can do things for treats for the pets. They can put together, placemats or draw placemats for the homeless.
Okay.
And yeah, the list goes on. She's doing really well.
She is doing really well with it. Is there an age? Do you have to be a certain age to volunteer there, or since you're coming with your parents? No.
No.
Yeah.
She's had kids as young as 4, actually even younger. But meaningful, I think 4 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great because I've been involved with a lot of nonprofits over the years, and sometimes trying to plan those family-oriented volunteer events, you have the limitation where the nonprofit will say, for safety reasons or liability reasons, we need kids that are 14 or 16, and we can't have younger kids.
Right.
So the fact that everybody can do this as a family, and especially kind of imparting that idea of service at a young age with little children, I think is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And both for her and myself, I'm an avid Rotarian. Giving back to the community is very important. Service above self is the motto.
Yeah.
And we have so much fun doing it as well.
That's great. And are your kids also involved with it?
Rotary, not yet.
No, I meant with the nonprofit. I'm sorry.
The Kids for the Community,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They go to every event. They don't have a choice.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, no, they
well,
like
look,
it.
as a kid, you don't have a choice with much things,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
and in the end, you realize it's best for you.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, what would you say is your biggest either success or failure, whatever you want to discuss?
I have to say, Headroom is
biggest success,
a success.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Never really thought that it would go this far. And again, it's been amazing. It's been amazing, and thanks to all the people that are part of our ecosystem and making it possible. Failures, I have tons and tons of failures, and I celebrate those.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in the startup community do. You kind of have to. Those are where we learn, the best lessons. Every failure, there's a reason why you failed, and then to avoid it the next time, or to build a business upon that failure. I mean, that's how you ultimately can grow,
right.
I think. So yeah, I've had just dozens of companies, and most of them, actually, pretty much all of them have failed. Well, that's not true.
No, I know what you mean, though. I mean, sometimes when you do well with something, it's hard to point out why you did well.
Right.
But when you make a major mistake and something goes wrong, it's really easy to say, this is what went wrong, and I don't want to see that happen again, and this is why we're going to do it differently next time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's one specific example of a business that went sour. He was my best friend, and we just, out of passion, created something, and we went at it, and we threw quite a bit of money at it. No operating agreements, nothing written down. We were just doing it, and eventually, now the business is gone, and unfortunately, so is that relationship, and I regret that.
Right.
But having gone through that experience, we're now able to value, new partner John, for example, and we have a strong operating agreement that hopefully we'll never have to use.
Right.
But at least that understanding is in place.
Oh, sure.
So as a lawyer, I think you would appreciate that.
It's a common story that, even people, who are seasoned entrepreneurs, a lot of times, especially when you're going into business with family or friends, you think, well, we don't really need all that legal jargon, because if things don't work out, we'll just act accordingly and act amicably, and everything will end very civilly. And rarely does that happen, right?
You're right.
As you said, you always hope you don't have to use those agreements, and things will just continue as they are. But unfortunately, when you do have to go back to those situations when things don't go right, it usually does not end amicably, and you do need things in place.
Right. I mean, an operating agreement, yes, it's a lot of legal jargon and whatnot. However, just knowing that you have a piece of document also means that you've kind of thought about it, you've planned ahead, and you know who each party is responsible for. I mean, that's really the foundation for a good start.
Yeah. So since your business that you have at Headroom does a lot of networking within the office, you have a lot of events, and as you said, resident events and other networking events, which we'll get a little more into later. Do you guys go out and do other networking for the business? You do?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're out and about all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Our business is very geographical. So as soon as we moved to Wayne, we tied into the mainline chamber, and we've been going to a lot of events, up and down the main line, basically. Sure. Some are great and some are better.
How do you guys kind of pick what events are right for you, or what organizations are right for you?
We try and go to everything at least once.
Right.
And then once you get there, you can get a feel of who's there and if it has potential. Yeah, so we literally have been going to every single one of them.
Yeah.
Meetup.com has been a great resource for us
to
find smaller niche groups, and so.
Good. Yeah. No, it's
a lot of
important.
work.
It's important to get out there.
It is.
So what about, I mean, I don't know if you have time for reading, but I mean, is there any book either that you've read recently or maybe just something that's been helpful or important to you that you would like to share with our viewers?
So my parents would probably laugh if they saw this. I've never been much of a reader at all.
Okay.
But I do now, I mean, recently I've been reading quite a bit, more for my own personal journey kind of thing.
Yeah.
My father actually just gave me a book for my birthday called Good Profit.
Okay.
Good Profit really talks about the difference on how you can make money, whether you're making money off of something that's socially beneficial or whether you're making money off of taking advantage of certain things. That's been an interesting read so far. But I have to say in the last couple of years, the best book I've read is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Have you read that?
I've read some of his stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't read that. Yeah.
It's been a big, I shouldn't say life-changing, but by far the book that I give away the most is Start With Why.
Yeah.
And it really falls in line with what we do, and that's kind of getting people to discover their passion and how to pursue it. Right?
Okay.
So yeah.
And you said you give away that book the most. Is that something you typically do if you meet somebody as give? I love that idea. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I need to stock up now.
Yeah.
But especially when I meet somebody that's on the verge of they're not necessarily happy with where they are, and they think that they're stuck and they have to do what they're doing, and not necessarily. You can weave in certain things that are in line with your passion.
Right.
And the first thing you got to do is figure out what your passion is, right? So yeah, I would strongly recommend that.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've probably never had a traditional corporate job. Is that fair, or you have?
No, I have.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I have. I hated it. So I was, again, a technology background,
right.
So database application development for many years.
Okay.
But I was in Colorado for a while, in Denver, and experienced the whole .com rise and fall.
Okay.
So I jumped from company to company. Back then it was pretty typical. Every 6 months we'd get hired by somebody else that would pay us more money.
Okay.
So there's some, still kind of startup-ish, but I remember once I fell into a corporate job. It lasted maybe 3 or 4 months and just I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
It's just not really.
And it would be tough to go back, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I don't ever have to.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes too. I've been out of law practice now
Right.
for, I guess, about 4 years, and I think I'd have a very hard time going back to a traditional job.
Yeah, but the thing to keep in mind too, though, is even that company, corporate America, at one point was a startup.
Right.
So everything was a startup at one point.
That's true. Yeah.
So, if you can find the good in that, maybe that would work.
But it's nice having your own.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely. I would rather start a company than work for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So what about any, we're nearing the end of 2015. Do you have any personal goals that aren't related to your business, or maybe something on your bucket list that you'd like to share with us?
That's a tough one. Again, like my life is so kind of interwoven with everything that we do. But personal goals, I would say, probably something around my kids. They're 6 and 9.
Okay.
And I'd love to be able to, take them out individually for something meaningful, like a meaningful trip somewhere. We're surrounded by amazing cities here, so I'd love to be able to have a one-on-one weekend with my daughter and my son and whatnot. That's on my list for 2016.
Okay, that's good.
In terms of bucket lists, I have a whole list of places that I want to visit. Every time I see something cool, a cool picture, I'll add it to my Evernote list of bucket lists.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty long list now, but it revolves around seeing places of the world.
That's great.
Seen yet,
Yeah, one of my favorite authors is Laura Vanderkam, and she deals a lot with the issues of productivity and time management. And she always talks about having this list of 100 dreams. And it can be little things or it can be big things. It can be just a variety of things that you want to accomplish. Right. And she also talks about coming up with a list of 100 dreams with your kids, and it could be something as simple as, we want to go to the zoo,
Right.
or we want to go to Bali, or, it could be big things and little things, but just kind of making that list with your kids. And then,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, so I love that idea. Yeah. So, you've grown the business a lot in a short time. Do you guys have staff independently of you as partners? And it's you and Erin and John.
So, we have one staff, Katie. She's been an amazing person for us.
Yeah.
She basically manages the media location.
Okay.
And as soon as we're up and running a little bit more on Wayne, we'll hire somebody else as well. Katie will have a choice of working in whatever location she wants. But aside from that, we've really just kind of been leveraging resources within Headroom.
Okay.
Our PR person is a resident, Sydney Sutera with AMS Communications. We use Results Repeat for our SEO. We have a couple different websites, and we use our own residents, Omni and Drew. So we use a lot of our own
That's great.
own residents to help us out.
Yeah, I was wondering now with the couple office locations if the three of you were going to divide up and each run one office like you, Erin, and John. But it sounds like you're going to hire managers for each one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're gonna hop around.
Yeah.
It's not that far.
No.
So yeah, especially with Conshohock, and we'll be traveling a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll be hopping around.
So tell us about, I know you guys have a lot of regular events at Headroom. Tell the viewers about some of those that they could take advantage of.
Sure. So every third Wednesday of the month, we have a meetup. It's called the Entrepreneurs of Delaware County and also the Entrepreneurs of Montgomery County. It's just an environment. We host them at Headroom. It's just an event where your guard is down because there's no loud music, and you're walking into a room that's kind of safe. You're surrounded by entrepreneurs, and it's a great way to connect with others. So that's every third Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
And also Erin runs a Power Women's breakfast event once a month out of Headroom as well. And in terms of events, we encourage our residents to have as many events as possible.
Yeah.
It really is a way to kind of promote themselves and to give value to society. But yeah, most of our events are on our website, so I encourage to check out headroom.net.
And then do you have to be a resident to go to the events, or
No,
can you attend the
no.
events?
There's the only event that's the residents only event.
Right.
But aside from that, it's everything is open to the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
So besides the website you mentioned, is there any other information you want to give about how people can get in touch with you guys, or?
Yeah, headroom.net is our main website,
Okay.
and then our consulting arm is headroomstrategy.com.
Okay.
It talks about some of the work that John and I do for small businesses and startups.
Okay. And in order to have that strategy work done, do you have to be a resident of Headroom?
No, not at all. Not at all. We've
Okay.
worked with companies different sizes, and recently we did a company that's 10 million revenue. They don't need space,
Right.
But no,
But you're still able to help
yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what about, I had asked about any upcoming networking event or organization that you think people should check out. Any ideas about that?
So recently we got connected with the Mainline Chamber.
Yeah.
And it's been, their events are really good.
Sure.
So we had a good time with them. And, obviously our events, I have to say, are good.
Of course. Yeah.
What else?
So for example, with the Mainline Chamber, because I go to a lot of their stuff as well, what have you guys found to be helpful for your business? I know they do, a variety of different events. They do a networking at noon, they do a Make More, Save More, they do the SPW, which is Society of Professional Women, which is their women's arm. They have a nonprofit table. I mean, they do a variety of things. What have you guys found to be helpful?
So again, we've kind of been going to all of them.
All of it, okay.
Just to kind of see what works. The Make More, Save More, I think, is coming up. We're going to that.
Okay.
And actually, Erin's at the lunch event today. The business card exchange or something like that.
Okay, wonderful.
So
yeah.
far, most of them have been really good.
Yeah, and I think you guys understand the importance of getting involved with your local community.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely something that's going to help you grow the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're nearing the end, so I wanted to thank you so much for coming on and taking the time and telling us all about Headroom, and congratulations on all your success. And I know that it's you here and not Erin, but I would be remiss not to mention that his wife was just elected one of the Power Women on the Move for Mainline Today magazine, and we're so thrilled for her.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you so
we wish
much.
you continued success.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Till next time, thank you.